Eric Adams, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Eric Adams decided that he wanted to go on a church tour. Take a look.
This morning, we're hearing from Mayor Eric Adams for the first time since he pleaded not guilty to federal bribery charges in a Manhattan courtroom yesterday.
He arrived about a half hour ago to the Greater Cathedral Church in Jamaica, Queens. Our cameras were there. He's attending an event to celebrate the installation of a new reverend at the church. And our John Diaz is there as well. He's been outside the church. We have a crew inside to see if he addresses any aspect of this, John.
Yeah, well, Doug and Janet, good morning, both of you. The mayor tried to slip in through the back door about a half an hour ago.
Not the back door.
But he did stop and speak with just a few of us reporters. Tried to stay on a topic about all this and about the event today and kind of avoided all the questions we were asking him. You're going to hear from him in just a second. But what he is trying to do out here today, though, is trying to continue to prove to people that he can run the city despite all this going on. Now, during an arraignment yesterday, Mayor Eric Adams, well, he pleaded not guilty to federal bribery, conspiracy, and campaign finance charges. A lengthy 57-page indictment unsealed Thursday laid out accusations that Adams abused his power for.
Somebody said they laughing at my man that said he almost up 5 figures. Think about it like this. On average, most Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. People that make over $100,000 a year are still living paycheck to paycheck, the overwhelming majority of them. And most people don't have $500, $500 to $1,000 to be able to deal with an emergency. And y'all laughing because he's almost saved up 5 figures since April. That's saved. Y'all laughing, they running up a bag. Let's continue.
Nearly a decade, alleging he put the interest of foreign nationals above those of his own constituents. Now, the improper gifts consisted of more than $100,000 in luxury travel and illegal campaign contributions from wealthy foreign business people and at least one Turkish government official. Adams was released out on bail and under conditions that he cannot contact any witnesses or individuals named in the indictment. Now, about a half an hour ago, I was one of the few reporters he spoke to since he was formally arraigned. Take a listen.
Right now, the power of prayer. And so I do a lot of praying, and I'm looking forward when I leave here to go on and continue to do what I do, moving our city forward. That is what needs to take place now.
Let me tell you something, big dog. Too little, too late. Too little, too late. I believe now, and I don't feel sorry for Eric Adams. You know why? Because he drunk the Kool-Aid. He drunk the Kool-Aid. What he did was he aligned himself with the Biden organization because he did the same thing that black people do every day. They did the go along to get along. Go along to get along. That's what happened. And since he didn't get along, and when he started to grow a conscience, which he should have had a conscience, and he should have never been a Democrat in the first place, or at the very least, he should have focused on the best interest. Because, and the reason that I say he should have never been a Democrat is because if he's now trying to say, well, I'm going to do the best thing for New Yorkers, and I don't agree with this migrant crisis, and I don't agree with the Biden administration and how they handled it, then that means that your views more or less align with Republicans and conservatives, right? And so what he did was he played ball. He joined the team. And then he requested a trade. And instead of trading, the owner and the league ownership, they said, hey, listen, we not doing no trades, no take backs, no nothing. Drop them. We going to collar and Kaepernick them. We going to collar and Kaepernick them. No trades, no nothing. Oh, you wanted to take a knee? Or you wanted to go against the system? Okay, well, listen, this is what we going to do. No trades, no takebacks, no nothing, no photo ops. We not kicking it with you. You're not invited to the Democratic National Convention. When we come to New York, we're not even going to be on your side of town. We not messing with you. And so what he did was he aligned himself with the machine. Then he started to grow a conscience instead of doing the thing that was right for the people in the first place. No, you let all of these migrants into these hotels. You gave them food stamps. You gave them cash. You gave them debit cards. Now they over there kicking the butts of everybody that's in New York. They stealing e-bikes. They robbing people. They beating up police officers in Times Square. Y'all was letting them out. You built whole shelters for them. You allocated billions of dollars. You cut the police budget, right? You cut budgets for the teachers while at the same time allowing them to go to the schools. I remember when Eric Adams was proposing that residents in New York take migrants in. I remember when Eric Adams was suggesting that residents of New York take migrants in. I do remember. I do not forget. I remember it. Then you started to grow a conscience. Then you started to grow a conscience. Let me see if I can find that. I remember. Hold on, let me see. I'm gonna have to go and find that. I remember when Eric Adams was proposing for people to take migrants into their homes. And then he went against the establishment. He grew a conscience, and now all of a sudden he feels persecuted. Now, as much as I don't agree with the persecution of Eric Adams in the vein of getting out of line with the Democratic Party, because I just think that the whole party is corrupt itself, which is one of the reasons why I had to go against it. And I said, you know what, I'm no longer voting Democrat. Now, I need to be more careful with who I vote for Republican, because there's multiple different candidates, especially in the primary. And that's why y'all don't participate in the primaries. Y'all only participate when we actually have the national elections and things like that. So they're still corrupt. Republicans don't think that ain't it. But the very values, the very core of what they stand for is bad. I did a whole show on it. I did, Peter Investor. And so now he's feeling some type of way. Now you want to turn to God. Nope. Nope.
And just 2 days after pleading not guilty to federal corruption charges, Mayor Eric Adams is focusing on faith. As Jenna DeAngelis reports, the mayor spent the weekend making the church rounds before he faces a judge on Wednesday.
You say you need to resign. I said I need to reign.
Mayor Eric Adams preaching that message during 2 church visits Sunday on Staten Island and in the Bronx.
When they start doing that to you, fam, let me tell you how the black church works. When the black church, they get that olive oil. Okay, so this is how it works. They take olive oil, they pray over the olive oil, and then they use it in order to pray over people to anoint them. And they put the cross on there, and then they put their hands on you. Sometimes you got to fall out. You fall out, you shouting to the mountaintops. He going over there, he getting all of that olive oil. I'm not sure that God is with him in this situation. Maybe God is changing his heart, like Paul in the Bible. Maybe he's going to make a transition, but you can't just make a transition now that you're getting persecuted. You can't do it now. You had to make the transition. You had to make the change before they started coming after you in the first place. But now you want to show up. So now he's doing a church tour. Wasn't no church tours in the future prior to you getting arrested. Now we on a church tour. And black people can't wait to embrace you. Welcome to the church. Give them the microphone. Let them speak. No. If I'm pastor, I will run my church a little differently. If I'm pastor, you can come, you can sit in the pews, and you can get this lesson. You can even take a picture inside of the church. But you are not standing on my pulpit, and you will never, ever speak on my pulpit. That is not what we do. I don't believe in that. Am I just that different? Am I that different? I don't believe that people should just be able to, just because you're an elected leader or just because you're famous, that you should be able to get on the pulpit and be able to say anything. You don't get the microphone to speak to the congregation. You can come in here and get this work. You can come in here and learn the word of God, but you're not going to get on a pulpit and start speaking to my congregation. I can't stand all of these politicians that always get endorsements from the church and stuff like that. That junk aggravates me. It aggravates me. You can't just stand on a pulpit where it's anointed, where God's word is supposed to be preached, and you just gonna get on the microphone and start saying what you want to say? No, absolutely not.
Leaning on his faith.
Sometimes you have to let go and let God.
Look, they put the cloth on them, the cloaks. Black church ain't nothing but a photo op, bro.
And faith leaders on the heels of his historic indictment.
We unapologetically support his right to due process.
The mayor pleaded not guilty Friday to federal bribery, conspiracy, and campaign finance charges. Despite calls for his resignation, he says he's not shifting focus.
While the attorneys handle the due process, I'm going to handle the management of the city.
If he changes course and steps down, next in line would be public advocate Jumaane Williams, and then a special election.
When you run for public advocate, part of it is knowing that if something happens, you have to step in.
Mayor Adams is expected back in court Wednesday, where his attorney says he'll be demanding evidence from the prosecution. He's also filing a motion to dismiss.
The case may ultimately be one that Mayor Adams can win in the sense of having a jury find him not guilty. But the idea that these charges are going to be dismissed out of whole cloth before the case gets to a jury is fantasy land.
Hofstra University professor James Sample says corruption cases are hard to prove, but the feds wouldn't bring the case if they didn't feel strongly about the evidence.
If the case turns into a simple he said, she said, and it's really only Mayor Adams' version.
It says NYC mayor may pay residents to house migrants. All right, let me look that up real quick, because I remember that. Yep, a year ago. Just a year ago. Just a year ago. Yep, you are apps. I remember. I don't always remember the exact titles of the videos right away and stuff, but I'll be remembering. I'll be knowing what I'm talking about.
And it's not just these houses of worship that could be welcoming migrants.
That's right. Mayor Adams also suggesting today that the city could pay people to house migrants in private residences. Sharon Crowley has more on the mayor's idea.
I don't be lying.
And
I
whether
be
he has
knowing
the
what I'm
power to
talking
actually
about.
make it policy. Sharon.
Yeah, Steve, New Yorkers willing to take in an asylum seeker into their home could be paid by the city for doing just that. It's a hypothetical right now. The mayor's considering every option as he looks to find new ways to house thousands of newcomers who continue to arrive in the city each week.
The closer we bring the asylum seekers and the migrants to everyday New Yorkers, the easier it will be for them to transition into society.
I remember. You listen. One of the beauties of not being new to this game, because you see a lot of people trying to hop on a political wave. We've been talking about this for years over here on the Millionaire Morning Show. It's just that everybody else is just now starting to catch up. Everybody, look, shout out to all of the people that's been rocking with me for all of these years. Shout out to everybody that's been rocking. We in season 4. If you look on the cover of this video, it says season 4, episode 190 something, like 198 or something. We've done hundreds, if not thousands of shows and thousands of videos on this channel. And so we've been covering stuff like this, like the migrant crisis and inflation and what's been happening in society and how it all comes back down to the money and ultimately how it affects you. And so everybody else is just now getting on this train. That's why they don't know. They can't talk about it. They're not familiar with it. And so it's easy for me to just recall something that happened in the past and say, well, this is how it affects you, and this is how Eric Adams got caught up in the first place. When you see these people like the Breakfast Club, or you see these random vloggers that's trying to make the switch and make the transition, they can't do it. They don't even know what they're talking about. Then that's when y'all just, you know what? I don't even want to hear what y'all got to say. Let me come back to the Anton Daniels channel. Let me go back to the Millionaire Morning Show. Because we know this. We've been covering it. We 100% been in the mud and we've been in the trenches. It's just that everybody else starting to figure it out. Fox News now starting to discover me. Everybody asking me to come on their shows. Everybody want me to come and do an interview nowadays. Okay, cool. I'll come and do an interview. But that's because they know I know what I'm talking about. So when everybody else is discovering it, we already know it. It don't mean nothing to us. We've been on this for a long time. So it's hard for me to feel sorry for an Eric Adams when he was asking y'all to take migrants into your house. And now you want to say, oh, well, I'm being persecuted because I want to do the right things for New Yorkers. When? Now? So overnight. You know what Eric Adams did? I'm going to be honest with y'all. Eric Adams, he did the same thing that Jerry Maguire did. If none of y'all have watched that movie, I know that I always like to reference older movies and stuff like that, right? I always like to reference older movies, and I use that to have these conversations. But Eric Adams was on a train. He was on a Democratic train. He was on the same train as Mike Johnson, and Brandon Johnson and Karen Bass and all of these other Democrats, right? On the same train, the Hope train, the Joy train, the train to let a bunch of illegal migrants come into your city and take over, right? And he did to Jerry Maguire. One night, he ate a bad piece of sushi, which then kept him up, and then he wrote a manifesto, and now he's getting fired from his job. Show me the money. Show me the money. Show me the money. All he did the same thing that Tom Cruise did and Jerry Maguire. And now he's looking for support. And they was like, boop, get on out of the door. Take these charges with you. Go ahead and sit down and face 45 years. We gonna get you for upgrading your flight from Turkish Airlines. Is it wrong? Probably. Probably. But this is the path that you chose. You chose to align yourself and put yourself in bed with the devil. And now he coming to collect. The minute that you said, oh, I don't want to go to hell no more. It was fun when you got elected. It was fun in the beginning. When he said, listen, sell your soul. I'm going to give you a couple dollars to go along with it and some power. And then the devil came to collect. He said, you said, I don't want to go to hell no more. He said, here, take this 45 years. Go ahead and run back to the black church and pray to God and see if he come and rescue you. That's a little too deep. We going spiritual. I don't want to go too spiritual on y'all because then y'all going to be acting like y'all don't know what's going on.